What's going on, YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're going to be talking about something different, something I don't believe we have ever talked about on this channel, but we will also be using what we're going to talk about to actually compare it back to Paris and ultimately, I think, give you guys some good news. So hopefully this could be a good video in a bunch of different ways, whether you're here for Paris or non-Paris stuff. It should be hopefully a little bit of something for everybody. So if we look at the CSGO all item graph, this is from Esport Fire. They have all different kind of indexes, all kind of stuff that they track. They have their own Esport Fire 300 graph, which is like 300, different popular items in the market. They use as like an overall market index to see how the market's doing. You can see in the last month, the market's been pretty flat. Yes, we went down, but we kind of went right back up to where we started a month ago. I'm recording this on August 7th, so this is like July 7th to August 7th. But if we look at the CSGO all items graph, this is every single item in CSGO, all put together, we can see the whole market in the last month is actually up. It's kind of weird. This is, just kind of obviously a ton of different item classes and stuff doing different things in CSGO. But you can see here on, here's actually last month. I was looking at the wrong thing. This is the last month. We are still up over the last month. From July 8th to today, we're up about 7 to 8%, from about 39 to 42. So, it's like 7.5, 7, 8%, somewhere in there. But an item class that has actually outperformed the market, obviously there's numerous of these. Certain ones have outperformed, certain ones have underperformed, whatever. But a surprising one to many people that has actually outperformed in the last month is this. And I've heard more and more people talking about this on Reddit and Twitter and Discord and all over the place. It's starting to get some more hype and talk, which is why I want to cover it in a video, is this. The RMR stickers. Now, obviously, RMR is seen as one of the biggest disasters in CSGO investing history, CS investing, whatever you want to call it. And rightfully so. Obviously, it was a pretty big disaster. A ton of people lost a lot of money or wasted a lot of time, ended up breaking even. It shows a lot of the potential downsides of investing, but it was also a very, very crazy time. Obviously, people have a lot of negative memories associated with COVID and all that stuff, and then you attach it to the RMR stuff on top of that, and blah, 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 blah. It was a rough time, but there was also a lot of weird things going on there. Obviously, everyone was stuck inside. Everyone had stimulus checks. Everyone was getting back into all these different online activities and side hustles and blah, 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 blah. RMR was an absolute disaster. The stickers didn't look good. They were overinvested. They had low, natural or organic demand, all these bad things. But in the past month, these things have actually done pretty well. I think, if you look here from $64.72 up to $71.42, I believe it's like a 13% gain somewhere in there. Again, has outpaced the entire CSGO items market over the last month. And obviously, we can look at some other things. A lot of things have done well. Berlin's gone up. Katowice 2019's gone up. But RMR has outpaced stuff like London and Boston over the past month, and Krakow the entire set over the last month, and Atlanta. There are some sticker sets that RMR has actually been doing better than recently, which I think would surprise a lot of people. I think is pretty interesting. Now, that doesn't mean I gotta get the cat out of the way real quick. Whoop, set her down. That doesn't mean I'm saying, hey, it's time to go all in on RMR. RMR is all of a sudden some amazing investment or anything like that. But I'm just saying that RMR is starting to get a lot of more eyes on it. And ultimately, at the end of the day, even a bad investment, or what has historically been a bad investment, if it becomes underrated, underpriced, undervalued, if so many people are looking in so many different other places, like people are right now, obviously people are looking at Paris and Stockholm and Antwerp, and some people are looking at cases, and some people are looking at knives, and some people are looking at gun skins to buy before CS2 and all this stuff. There's not a lot of people who are set on, RMR investing, but there are actually a couple of gems and a couple of ways that I think people could potentially make money off RMR, and obviously people have been doing so over the last month. And I'm not saying that RMR is obviously going to pop into CS2 or anything like that, but maybe it could be a potential opportunity. Maybe it's something you would consider. And I know there's a ton of, contrarian investors out there and stuff. So I just wanted to take a little bit of a dive into them and look at them. So one of the main problems with RMR, like I said, is the absolutely insane quantities. Now, right now we're looking at RMR hollows, and you have to keep in mind here that back in the day at this time, hollows had a lower rarity than they do now. Holos were easier to pull. Remember, we still had foils at this time. Foils were the increased rarity. Holos were a little bit less rare. So you cannot compare, very accurately holos back then to holos today. Holos are much more rare today. Holos are harder to pull, but we'll also look at foils in a second, which are probably a more accurate comparison to holos. But again, that's still not perfect because holos and foils are different. People like them, differently, all this stuff, whatever. But looking at the amount of holos, this is the least quantity holos. This is sorted from lowest to highest. The least quantity holo is Team Liquid at 1,300 on the market. Now, obviously, you're never going to know exactly how many are out there because obviously a lot of people have storage units, and just because they exist doesn't mean they're necessarily on the market. And there's other markets like Buff Market and Buff 163 and Skinport and DMark and all these other places. But this is at least some information we have to go off of. We know that there's a ton of freaking RMR stickers out there. And again, this is part of the reason why the prices are so low, why these investments have been so bad, yada, yada, yada. If you go to the most, it gets even more disgusting. The highest quantity of stickers out there right now is the Heroic Holo at almost 11,000 on the market, and that is just insane. That's just crazy. And it wouldn't necessarily be so bad if there was so many on the market if there was super high demand or people loved these stickers or these stickers were beautiful or whatever, but they're not. They're ugly stickers with insane quantities, and that's part of the reason why they have such insane quantities is people aren't buying them up, but also it just shows you how many capsules, how many stickers, all this stuff was bought at that time. It's absolutely crazy. So I don't necessarily love any of these holos, especially at these quantities, but if you were going to take a look at something, sorting from lowest to highest, and maybe looking in this range of Liquid, G2, Astralis, Fnatic, Nemiga, I don't know how you say this, Nemiga, I have no idea how to say that, Tyloo, Godsent, maybe these like top 5 or 6 in here, they could be decent. They could be okay. Obviously, Liquid, I think, is a nice color, a nice logo. It's a low quantity. And if you look at the Team Liquid graph, again, it's actually done pretty well recently. Obviously, with the CS2 hype, it went from 20 cents to $1.88, which is crazy. It crashed down to about 50 cents. But if you look here from about 50 cents in May to wherever we're at now, which is, 84 cents, that's about a 50% increase in the last, like 3 months. So some of these stickers have been doing well. I think if you look at the lowest quantities on up, you might be doing okay. Again, I would look in this top 3 to 5 range. I think Liquid, G2, Fnatic could all be decent pickups. I'm not saying they're going to do insanely well, but again, if you're a contrarian investor that wants to get into some different things, could be okay. But if we look at foils, this is where I think it starts to get a little bit more interesting and a little bit more appealing. Now, again, overall, foils still have some crazy quantities. We can see here the 100 Thieves foil has 1,200 as a sticker. And if we start to look at some other things, we can compare it to, Paris holos right now, where the highest quantity holo, this is highest quantity, which ends at 989. We have the Antwerp holos, where the highest is at 300, which is really crazy. There's just not a ton of Antwerp holos on the market, which makes them actually pretty enticing. Maybe something to keep an eye on. We have the Stockholm holos, where the most is 597 on the market. And like I said, obviously, foils were a thing during Stockholm as well, where Stockholm foils, the highest quantity one on the market is Evil Geniuses at 232. Again, lowest for holos is 1,300, and the lowest for foils is 268, but we have the most at around, 1,200 or something? Yeah, 1,200, which is really, really crazy, obviously. But when we do start to look at some foils, since the foils do actually have some reasonable quantities sometimes for RMR, I think they're a much more enticing investment than the holos. And we can see here, like Tyloo, before the CS2 announcement, it was maybe around $1, shot up to about $6.64, back down to maybe like $1.50, $1.75, somewhere in there. And then today it's at like $3.40, $3.50, somewhere in that range. I don't know, we can zoom in a little bit. It's about $3.50, somewhere in that range. So it's had a decent little come up again. That looks like another like 50% gain there. So I don't know. It is something to keep an eye on. I actually do think there is some okay, I'm not going to say good looking RMR stickers, but there are some okay RMR stickers that definitely at this point, with all the hate and negativity and everything surrounding RMR, might be a little bit underrated. And again, they've been on a little bit of a run, especially going into CS2. If CS2 is this amazing explosion in player base and people come back to the game and all that stuff, these could definitely see some rise up, especially as some modern cheap stickers that people could be looking into buying. Obviously, these new CS2 players aren't going to have all the negative memories and feelings and everything separated with associated with RMR, and they might lean towards buying some of these. Who knows? It could actually end up being a decent little investment. Again, I don't think they look great. I don't think they have insane demand, but is it still possible for an ugly sticker with insane quantities to be underrated? Yes, because at the end of the day, value, comes from finding things that are underrated or undervalued or underpriced, which, sometimes can be some of the worst or ugliest or least demandable items in the game. That's possible. I'm not saying that's true, but I'm saying it's something to consider. I don't know. I'm probably not going to be putting thousands of dollars into RMR stickers, but I at least want to present this to you guys because maybe you want to, maybe you think it's a good idea. I don't know. There are more and more people talking about this, and I want my channel to be a place where we can discuss, or at least be open to discussing or considering any different kinds of ideas. Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, my final takeaway from all of this is it makes me feel a lot better about Paris. Looking at some of these quantities, again, looking at the 1,300 foils on the market, looking at the 13,000 holos on the market, makes me feel very, very confident that Paris is not RMR 2.0. The Paris stickers look good, they have organic demand, and they do not have the quantities of RMR. So ultimately, at the end of the day, whether you think RMR is a good investment, bad investment, or anywhere in between, I think it should make you feel a lot better about Paris and the fact that Paris is not going to be RMR 2.0. And that's finally, another big takeaway I had from diving into RMR a little bit deeper. But it's been doing pretty well recently. Maybe the run's going to continue. Maybe the hype's dying out. I don't know. But pretty much it was the video today, guys. Hopefully catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.